Week 4 of college football presents so many exciting matchups, and it's going to be fun to see which of those teams can prevail. Utah and Oklahoma State are two of those teams. These are two 3-0 teams that come into this Big 12 matchup, and this has major implications for the Big 12 title race. Utah is a team that many expected to compete for this conference championship, as well as Oklahoma State. And these are going to be two of the better teams in the conference. And now we get to take a look at which team is going to be better after this weekend. Utah comes into this game with a little bit of a different look, but still the same identity. You still have a team that wants to be physical, a very fun defense to watch, and a little bit of a different offense for a few reasons. We'll dive into that in a little bit. Oklahoma State has taken care of business. It hasn't always been the prettiest, but at the same time, you didn't ever really feel like they were in jeopardy against a team like South Dakota State as well as against Tulsa. The Arkansas game was a little bit more dicey, but they found ways to bounce back and they found ways to beat adversity. And it was really fun to watch this team battle against Arkansas, and that's going to help them in this game. They have been battle tested and they are ready for what Utah brings to the table. Utah is heading into this game with a little bit of a different look. Like we mentioned, Cam Rising is out for this game, which means that Isaac Wilson, the brother of Zach Wilson, is going to take over on offense like he did last week. And we will see what that means for this offense. What does it look like? Can they be efficient? Because Oklahoma State has some disruptive playmakers. They're without one of their best players in Colin Oliver. So that's going to be interesting to see who steps up in his place. Guys that are on that defense have stepped up so far as a whole. And that's really fun to watch, especially against an offense that is going to be as physical as Utah's. The question for Utah is, are they going to be the same without Cam Rising? The quick answer to that is no. Cam Rising is just such a special player for Utah. He has been a consistent player for this team, and he has been someone that has led this team into multiple major victories. Can Isaac Wilson be that player for them? I think right now it remains to be seen. We'll see if he can take care of the football. That's going to be a big key, especially against this Oklahoma State defense. For the Cowboys, can the Pokes handle Utah's physicality? I think Oklahoma State fans coming into this year felt very confident about their ability to handle what Utah brought to the table, and they believe that they have a physical offense as well as a physical defense. The matchup I'm curious to watch is going to be Utah's defensive line against Oklahoma State's offensive line. There have been some injuries that have hurt Oklahoma State's offensive line, but they still have plenty of experienced and talented players. Utah's kind of the same way. They have very talented players. They have good experience at certain positions, and their culture has done a good job of developing players at that position. So that, and especially a battle in the trenches. The fact that you have physical players on both sides for both teams means that this is going to be a really fun matchup to watch when you're looking outside of the skill position players. So keeping an eye on that. That probably dictates who is going to win this football game. And it'll be interesting to see who is going to prevail in that matchup. Now, Utah is a 2.5 point favorite. That to me is very interesting because losing Cam Rising feels like the line should have shifted, and there's still plenty of time before the weekends for that to shift. But right now, this is a team that is a 2.5 point favorite, which is very interesting. Now, a way that Oklahoma State can turn that around or find a way to win the football game is by getting Ollie Gordon involved. And Ollie Gordon is just one of the many impact players for Oklahoma State. He is a big key to this offense, has a successful year in 2023, wins the Doak Walker Award. He's looking to become the back-to-back winner of that award. And so far, he's off to a decent start. You'd obviously like to see his numbers improve a little bit. But right now, I think this offense has found so much balance in terms of finding playmakers to step up. And we kind of knew that coming into this year. There were a lot of options. The wide receiver position, we knew they had a three-headed monster. And so far, Deshaun Stribling is that guy that is leading the way. Rashawn Owens is another guy that's been really exciting at times. So you have plenty of options on offense. And Al Bowman should feel pretty confident in his ability so far. And he'll feel pretty good even against this Utah defense. Now, again, that offensive line is going to have to protect him quite a bit because Utah can make things very difficult if you're not careful. The defensive side of the ball has been, like I said, kind of hit or miss, but there are also some really exciting players. Nicholas Martin has been extremely disruptive. The Arkansas game, he was phenomenal. He was being so disruptive and he was making life very difficult for the Razorbacks. He was a big reason why Oklahoma State made that second half comeback. Trey Rucker has been a really good player so far. You'd like to see maybe your safety not being so high on the tackles list, being the leader in tackles for this team, but he is someone who has proven to be a reliable playmaker. And sometimes that's exactly what you need against this Utah defense. Everybody is going to have to be physical. This is a team that is a little bit different because they're not, I'm not going to say they're not as physical, but they are going to throw the football a little bit more than the traditional Utah that you might expect. So all three levels are going to have to be up to speed for Oklahoma State, but I believe they have the playmakers to make that happen. The impact players for Utah, Utah has a number of players to keep an eye on. The big one is going to be Isaac Wilson. Everybody has their eyes on him. Now, this is a Utah team that is very prepared for the loss of Cam Rising. They experienced it all last year. They knew exactly how to handle it. This is not new to them. It's not a new situation they have to handle or go over. They know what to expect. And right now, Isaac Wilson is probably one of the few players that has to transition into his new role. And last week was a little bit of a struggle, but also you kind of expected some bumps along the way. This is a big game, though. Can Isaac Wilson step his game up and can he be the playmaker that Utah needs him to be? Maybe the rushing attack gets it going a little bit more than usual. Like Michael Bernard is very much ready for that role. He's prepared to take on a bigger role in this offense. But if not, if the passing attack continues to be that way, you have plenty of options. Money Parks is going to be an option. Brant Keefe is going to be an option. It does not matter who plays the quarterback position. You have plenty of skill position talent that is going to make this a little bit more, I say, a little bit less challenging for a guy like Isaac Wilson. The defensive side of the ball is phenomenal. So many physical players, so many disruptive players. Van Fillinger is off to a great start, his best start of his career. And we've talked about him in the offseason. We knew that Van Fillinger and Junior Tifuno were going to be two impact players up front, and they are going to dictate a lot about what Oklahoma State can do offensively. Back behind them, Connor O'Toole is someone that we talked about having to keep an eye on. He is someone who's an extremely athletic player, has the ability to be disruptive, and has taken on a more prominent role with some of the departures as well as injuries in front of him. So he is someone that we knew could be an impact player, and he is someone that we expected to be more of I should say, take on a bigger role in 2024 than he did in 2023. You saw the potential, now you're seeing the production. When it comes to picking this game, this is going to be a close game. It's all going to come down to, in my opinion, whether or not Isaac Wilson is ready for this challenge. If he truly got all of those mistakes out of his system, those rookie mistakes, if you will, out of his system last week, then Utah's offense feels like it's in good hands. And even if he's not, Utah has still built an incredible culture under Kyle Whittingham that allows them to stay in football games. The problem is that I don't necessarily know if Oklahoma State is making explosive plays. I don't think Utah has the talent or the players to keep up in that kind of a game. So keeping things in front of them is going to be a key. For Oklahoma State, obviously, they have to prove they can handle physicality, but they also have to make those explosive plays. I think they have the right players in place. And until I see something from Isaac Wilson that shows me that Utah is clearly the favorite, I feel like the 2.5 line for Utah is a little bit. I think that's the wrong way. I think Oklahoma State should be the favorite team as of right now, but obviously we'll find out on Saturday.